I wonder how many people enmeshed with narcissists, raised in dysfunctional families, or who are in controlling relationships, how many people experience mysterious symptoms, who have a long history of being misdiagnosed, who have difficulty finding a health practitioner that truly understands what's going on with their health. They may have odd symptoms that appear and disappear. One day the recommended treatment works, then suddenly it doesn't. It's yet another aspect of crazy making relationships that makes you feel crazy when your own body's signals are impossible to make sense of. We end up suffering for years, feeling overwhelmed, frustrated, and hopeless regarding what our body is doing or not doing. As a naturopathic physician, I've come to really appreciate the term psychosomatic. After thoroughly studying holistic medicine and also being very familiar with mainstream medicine, I saw so many patients who seemed to fall through the gaps. And I was one of those patients. I was at my wits' end with Western medicine, trying to conveniently label my suffering as this or that, trying to find the perfect pill to put a band aid on my kaleidoscopic symptoms. I've been a detective on many desperate hunts. But what I know for sure is that my health always improved when I removed myself from a normalized environment, which I couldn't recognize as toxic. Strangely, over the years, I observed my symptoms flare up in the presence of the narcissist, or if I had to increase my tolerance to abusive or controlling behavior. Hi, I'm Joanna Kujath. I'm a transformational mentor and the author of Unveiling the Narcissist. I help highly empathetic and intelligent people, enmeshed in crazy making relationships, go from overwhelm, chronic confusion, to clarity, confidence, and inner peace. Perhaps you've heard the term psychosomatic, but you're not sure how it would relate to us. So I hope to offer you my interpretation and give you examples that you can relate to towards the end of the video. So, what does psychosomatic mean? Psyche meaning of the mind, and soma meaning body. It relates to a disorder having physical symptoms but originating from mental or emotional causes. And I suspect that there are many people in narcissistic relationships who can relate to psychosomatic disorders. It's very frustrating, and we often have to go practitioner shopping because nobody seems to help us. No advice resonates, and each diagnosis doesn't quite fit. And it's completely disregarded that our physical symptoms actually stem from an unresolved emotional or mental cause. Some holistic practitioners would say that all illness is psychosomatic, that it all begins in the mind. And I can see the validity of this too. There is wisdom in our body, and if and when we start to want to pay attention to the language, you'll probably have a greater opportunity to cure the malady once and for all. Because when you get the message, the messenger is no longer required. We are often completely unaware of how we divert our feelings into symptoms and pain. Our conscious mind is only the tip of the iceberg. The unconscious mind is what's underneath. It's significantly greater and has much more influence than we're aware of, or what the mainstream sick care system tells us. It's easier to take a pill, avoid self reflection, and just get on with it. In this fast paced society, most people just don't have the time to be introspective until, of course, the symptoms get so severe that you crash and burn and are completely debilitated. It's like your body just says no for you. No, I'm not going there. Not going to be around that. Don't want to be anywhere near that person. Can't stand that job anymore. Facing the grief we've been running from or bottled up anxiety about making essential life changes then becomes the only priority. When you're in a controlling relationship where you can't speak up, you are covertly silenced by passive aggressive behaviors or are overtly told to be quiet, when you're punished for expressing yourself or you're being dismissed or told what you think is ridiculous. If you are continuously and repeatedly chastised for wanting to share your thoughts, feelings, opinions, especially ones that are not in accordance with the narcissist's wishes or your dysfunctional family's way of doing things. That energy of chronic rejection, being made to feel you're wrong, stupid, or when you're being shamed, that unexpressed energy has to go somewhere. It will be suppressed. We have to suppress so many parts of ourselves in order to survive these relationships. And this is also the cost of keeping secrets and concealing truth. Eventually, that conscious awareness of what you have to stuff down, not talk about, pretend you're okay with, all those emotions around that, it all must be minimized and denied for your safety or to avoid their wrath. What also needs mentioning is how we may also have to suppress certain memories and unacceptable urges, such as the instinctual urge to just want to get away. We must forget many things in order for this relationship to continue, so denial becomes a defense. And repression goes deeper. It's what we're not aware of, it's completely unconscious. We hide it even from our own awareness. It could be a combination of uncomfortable emotions like rage, frustration, terror, but our body speaks for us. And symptoms are often a result of excessive reliance on those defenses, such as denial. Oh no, it's not happening at all. Minimization. It's not too bad. Rationalization. Oh, it's not because I'm in an abusive relationship. And avoidance strategies, where people will do everything, including take drugs, have dangerous surgeries, but avoid facing the fact that they are deeply emotionally unhappy and unfulfilled. And in regards to repression, of course, it also happens due to trauma when things are so shocking and painful that you're not able to process a certain reality. So the experience of it, the memory of it becomes totally repressed. And a lot of us have no memory of certain times in our life. Bits of childhood are missing. For some people, their entire childhood is one blank, empty, cold void of nothingness. There's a total disconnect. I'm bringing this to light in order to help you understand how and why so many of us develop chronic illness, where the roots stem from, why so many of us have numerous diagnoses, all of which still don't explain much, and how our body will speak what our mind is not able to understand. It speaks in the language of pain, mysterious symptoms, unexplainable physical manifestations, undiagnosable patterns of unpleasant sensations. We often go from doctor to specialist to surgeon to an endless array of promising therapies, unfortunately, none of which leave us with a permanent resolution. Yes, many of us seek psychological help, but there's so little education about the psychosomatic connection. And of course, then there's the total disregard of the psycho-spiritual influence on our well-being. Most of us don't have language to describe what's going on, not just regarding the nature of narcissistic abuse, like that isn't crazy making enough, but we are completely at a loss trying to understand what's happening in our physical body as a result of that and why nothing seems to work. The band aids only give us temporary relief, but the pain inside that we hide, that we can't quite put our finger on, continues to await our attention. We may be aware that we are suppressing sadness. We may do that because it's not appropriate to deal with it right now. And we temporarily suppress it and hope to attend to it later on at a more supportive time. But whether that time ever comes is another issue. And perhaps this is what we tell ourselves in order to avoid dealing with it. It takes a tremendous amount of vital energy to repress something from our own conscious awareness. And it's not exactly our emotions that get stuck, but rather our beliefs about those emotions that cause that stuckness. We judge ourselves about feeling something, for not being able to love or accept someone or something. And that judgment causes guilt, and guilt seeks to punish. So we punish ourselves. And that's where a self hatred could stem from, and all those self defeating behaviors. So, addressing not just the physical aspect of illness, like poor diet, lack of exercise, stress management, but going beyond that and possibly looking at the psychosomatic aspect takes a lot of courage. For example, enduring back pain for 25 years is not just a backache. It often represents 25 years of not feeling supported emotionally or financially. And that thyroid disorder isn't just a malfunction of the gland. It could be due to us not speaking up, not using our voice, for keeping silent, blocking life energy from flowing to that throat area. A supposed accident when you hurt your feet could be your body trying to say, don't go there, or I don't want to go in that direction. So think about the language we use, such as being stopped in our tracks, or I've had a gutful of this. I'm tired of carrying the whole world on my shoulders, or get off my back. These are often clues from our unconscious mind. The most valuable project that you can invest in is knowing yourself. So then you're no longer dependent on the limitations of anyone else trying to understand the uniqueness and the complexity that is you. We can release all of these psychosomatic expressions by just tuning in to our body's message. For people like us, anxiety isn't just anxiety, depression isn't just depression. The challenge is to become aware of our unconscious internal conflicts because these can often present in symptoms. Conflicts between external voices and internal voices cause dissonance, which produces anxiety. For example, you may not connect how you always getting a migraine after you visited your narcissistic mother. You tell yourself you've set boundaries, you've negotiated how much you can handle, but you also want to be a good son or daughter. So your conscious mind says one thing, but your body, which is considered your unconscious mind, says something else. This realization can be a huge turning point because it may reveal how you'd still prefer to be obedient to the programming, but your body is telling you the truth about how you truly feel. Another example could be your digestive symptoms flare up a week before Christmas every year. It's like you just can't stomach playing happy families anymore, or you struggle to digest all the passive aggressive behavior and unexpressed hostility. And there are many examples of psychosomatic expression. Another interesting one to observe is hearing loss with people who have been in long term toxic relationships. It's almost as if this is the only way they can protect themselves from hearing the ongoing abuse, attacks, and humiliation. Your body is a barometer, and there was a very interesting book with a similar title, as also is the work of Gabor Mate and, of course, Louise Hay. They all shed light on this significant aspect to health and healing. I'm not a fan of the magic pill approach because our bodies are instruments that communicate. And so, to mask that communication, to shut down an important message, is just a temporary illusion of health because there is a root cause and it's our responsibility to do the work to uncover it. Unresolved trauma or deeply buried pain will cause us to sabotage all our plans, goals, relationships, success. It will keep redirecting all our attempts until we courageously and lovingly look at the cause. Is it the repressed rage, the unresolved grief? These are considered dark emotions, and perhaps that's why we are so afraid to go there.